If you ask the average candidate their opinion of recruiters in general, I am willing to bet we would not get raving reviews. I am a recruiter and I've got to say, some of that angst is actually fair. But in today's video, I'm going to give you 4 different circumstances in which you probably are not happy with recruiters, but it is not their fault, and you shouldn't be. Let's go. Now, one of the major complaints the average candidate has about recruiters is a lack of feedback. So you interviewed for a role and you're excited to find out, did I do a good job? Are they interested in me? Am I going to be moving forward? And you wait for the recruiter and you don't hear anything. And you're probably thinking, man, this is just like recruiters. They never get back to you and they always leave you hanging. But having a lack of information actually isn't the recruiter's fault. Most of the time, the hiring manager, after they interview, they don't provide the recruiter with feedback. So the recruiter has nothing to give to you. Now, let me just say, the recruiter should absolutely reach out to you and say, hey, I'm waiting for feedback. As soon as I get it, I will give it to you. And stay connected with you. Absolutely, recruiters should do that. But not having the information in general isn't always the recruiter's fault. I can tell you, I've been a recruiter for 14 years. And there have been many times, hundreds, maybe even thousands of times, where I am waiting for feedback, just like my candidate, so I can let them know what the hiring manager thought. But once you interview with the hiring manager, giving feedback to the recruiter is not always their first priority, so we often, like you, are left in the dark. Now, the next thing that a lot of candidates are mad at recruiters for, but they probably shouldn't be, is a lack of understanding of your skills. So I can't tell you how many times I've seen it where a candidate is mad because a recruiter reaches out to them and they don't know in depth about the role. And to a degree, I can understand this, but you also have to think of it like this. Most recruiters, if they have degrees, have business degrees, or they have HR degrees. So if they are recruiting for a role like a software engineer or a quality engineer or a biomedical engineer, the expectation that that recruiter should know your field at the depth that you know it is unrealistic. Just think about it. Let's just say you're an electrical engineer. Do you expect every recruiter who recruits you, sends you a job, reaches out, interviews you to have an electrical engineering degree? That would be crazy unrealistic. It would also be a waste of that person getting that degree. Now, every once in a while, you will find a recruiter who decided to get a recruiter who got a computer science degree. And after doing it for a little bit, they decided to move into the field of recruitment for whatever reason. But that is incredibly rare. So as long as the recruiter is willing to give you all the information they have, and if you have questions they can't answer, they go back, get it, and bring it back to you, to me, that is a good enough effort, and expecting them to know, again, your field like you know your field, that's just unrealistic. The next thing people hate about recruiters is a lack of transparency in their messaging. So often you'll get a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter and they'll say, hey, are you interested in a super exciting job doing blank, working with these customers, doing this? And you're probably sitting there wondering, okay, but what's the company? You reached out to me, you told me about a job, but what is a company? The reality is most recruiters actually aren't allowed to do that. They're not allowed to do that for a few reasons. Contractually, they work on a contingent agreement, meaning they cannot tell you the name of the company because you might go apply, and if you go apply before they talk to you and submit you, they won't get paid, negating the very function of their job. The other reason sometimes recruiters won't tell you the name of the company is because recruiters are often used for confidential searches. So searches in which the client says, do not use our name until we have agreed to meet with a candidate. And in those situations, the candidates actually have no choice. They're not allowed to tell you who the company is. So I hear all the time that candidates are upset because, they've reached out, but they didn't tell me the company name. The reality is, most recruiters at some point in their career will not have that luxury. They will reach out to you and they won't actually be able to share with you the name. The next reason candidates are mad at recruiters often when maybe they shouldn't be is they feel that they are favoring certain candidates more than others and it is unfair. The reality is this doesn't happen. Most recruiters are going to try to find 3 to 4 candidates for every job they work on. They're going to go out there, they're going to screen people, and they're going to try to find the 3 or 4 people they feel best fit the role based on what the hiring manager and the HR person told them. Most recruiters do not have a horse in the race. They're impartial. Whoever moves forward is great. They also ultimately don't make that decision. Recruiters will find candidates and they'll put them in front of the hiring manager, but at the end of the day, the hiring manager always decides, yes, I want to move forward, or no, I don't. And very rarely does a recruiter have much say in it. They are there to find qualified candidates, interview them, move them forward, but that's where it begins and ends for most recruiters. Have you ever given your notice at a job and your manager goes, "Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, where are you going?" And you sit there thinking to yourself, well, I made a list, and under things that are none of your business, this is right at the top of it. And then you wonder, well, why did they even ask me that? Well, it's why I made this video here. There are actually a few reasons why your manager wants to know where you're going, and they won't tell you why, but I will. So I'm done here, but I'll see you over there.